And for this bit of the programme, I'm joined by producer extraordinaire, Mr. Jeremy Dixon is here with me.
I wouldn't argue with that introduction whatsoever.
Would you not?
No, extraordinaire, I love that word.
I have a question for you.
Yes, shoot.
Cars in College Green are gone. You're not meant to drive through College Green. Well, now there has been a call for taxis to be banned from College Green. And if I take it a stage further, there has been a call for a ban on cars from the city centre at peak times.
Are there other cities in the world that do that?
Well, a lot of cities, like London, for example, has a congestion charge where you have to pay to drive into the city. So once you pass the C mark on the road, you're being charged, like the M50 toll.
Yes.
Yeah. Now...
But the difference between London and Dublin is London has a very well organised integrated transport system. Dublin doesn't actually have that. If you live in... Anytime I go to London, you don't need a car if you live in London. You don't.
No, because they've the tube and whatever, yeah.
Most Londoners don't drive into London. But in Dublin, well, I've never understood why someone would want to drive into the centre of Dublin. There's no real need, is there, to drive into the centre of Dublin?
It depends where you're going and what you're doing. If you're getting a load of shopping, for example, you might need the boot of your car to bring the shopping home.
Well, can you not carry shopping on the loose?
It depends on what you buy. Well, like I said, we're taking this a stage further, and TD John Lahart has called for basically a ban of cars from the city centre at peak times. John Lahart, welcome to 98 FM. John, is it practical to even contemplate banning cars from the city centre?
No, it's not, and it's amazing the way a headline can maybe be very misleading. I think you're talking about Michael Brennan's article in the Sunday Business Post.
Yeah, and it's been picked up today by Kieran Deneen in The Sun, actually.
In The Sun.
Yeah.
No, I drive, I cycle, I use public transport, and I walk, and I use those varying ways to get to work, like lots of different people. I'm not talking about banning cars. I don't think it's a realistic proposition. What I was talking about, and what I am talking about, is in a planned way, looking at key routes coming in either from the south side, the west side, or the north side that come into the city, selecting a few of those where you give absolute priority to buses between, we'll say, 7 and 10 in the morning at peak times. Mm-hmm. That's not banning cars, but that means that drivers would have to consider using alternative routes. And it's not to be done, Adrian. I think this is the key thing about planning in Dublin. I'm not suggesting we do this today or tomorrow, but what I have in mind is the fact that there is nothing in the National Development Plan announced on Friday that actually tackles the existing growing traffic congestion and chaos in Dublin. And any of the great plans like the metros, the Dart Undergrounds and that, a child who's born today will be going into secondary school before any of them are in place. But we need plans, and we need to plan reasonably quickly with full public consultation and explain to people that, look, what's going on can't last. Congestion is growing. It's getting chronic. It's estimated to cost about €350 million per year to the economy. And that could grow by 2030 to about €3 billion. So we need to plan. That's the first thing. And then we need to let people know that if they choose public transport, that the routes that might be taken up for prioritising buses at peak times will be flooded with buses, so that people who make the choice and say, OK, I'm going to give public transport a go, will know that actually
they will get there, and they will get there quickly. And
yeah.
What's
and
your
it would also mean other things of planning. There are these great plans for mega park and ride facilities on the outskirts of the city. We also need to plan for kind of smaller, more localised park and ride, because not every bus service is in close proximity to everybody in Dublin. So I'm not talking about banning cars. I'm talking about creating a number of routes that would prioritise buses, because here's a critical point. Only about 3 or 4 of the QBCs, the quality bus corridors that come into the city, we would say like the Malahide, the Stillorgan and QBC, actually take you from terminus to terminus 100% of the route. All of the other QBCs actually take you only about 30% of the route. But if people knew that on certain routes going into the city, that bus has priority from terminus A to actually Terminus B, that it's going to be flooded with buses. They're going to arrive.
Yes, they will be more likely to use. Now, I use the bus coming in every morning into work. I find it great. The route that I use is fairly frequent.
It's because of the time you're at as well,
It might help, yeah. John, I want to ask you another question. I read today that taxi drivers are warning that they may take to the streets in protest over the plans to pedestrianise and make a plaza out of the College Green area. Now, I happen to think that's a great idea. I think it's an area that would be rejuvenated if it was made into a plaza. Problem is, we have Lewis's, we have buses, and we have taxis going through there. What's your feeling on rerouting taxis away from College Green?
Okay, I absolutely favour the plaza, and I favour, an increase in exclusively pedestrian areas in the city. That's what any civilised city does, and I suppose in Dublin the best examples of that are down near the docks, because they were planned and they were built in a planned way, and there's huge space for pedestrians. You have a problem with College Green. There's 300 buses go east and west or north and south there per hour at peak time. There's about 3,000 buses go there through the day. So what we need basically, I think, is to go back to the drawing board in terms of Dublin city traffic in a coordinated way and say, okay, Lewis Cross City has made a dramatic change to movements that's affecting everybody, whether you're a pedestrian, a cyclist.
Yeah, but sorry for cutting across you, John. The Lewis Cross City is a shambles at the moment. It's an absolute shambles. I travel on it every morning in from Leopardstown, and I'm sure you don't need me to tell you this. It's an absolute joke at the moment.
In what way?
In that carriages are overcrowded. The frequency of the Lewis going out to Bride's Glen has been cut in the morning times. There are people having to let 3 Lewises go by in the mornings before they can fit on one.
But I think the concept itself is obviously, look, it's really welcome, and I'm not going to defend it, but it has given rise to a huge situation, huge traffic congestion. It was always going to happen. The longer trams were always going to create that. Why this wasn't preempted, why certain modelling wasn't done, given that the Lewis Cross City is going through the major spine used by all the Dublin bus fleet, essentially. And what we're doing, and what we're seeing, is reactions to it as opposed to any kind of proactivity. So there needs to be, what's interesting about the Lewis Cross City and some of the congestion that's arisen is that, you have the NGA, you have Dublin City Council, and you have Dublin Bus involved, but some of the problems with the Lewis Cross City around O'Connell Bridge could have been solved by the presence of the Garda Traffic Corps, So I think, in fairness, we need to give Lewis Cross City about 6 months to bed in. And
for people to get used to it.
Sorry, John, one final question. I'm surprised this has never come up. I was only debating this with a friend, Adrian, over the weekend. Why don't we introduce a carpooling scenario in Dublin, whereby, because when I used to drive into work along this Lorgan dual carriageway, you would see rakes and rakes of cars stuck on the dual carriageway with one passenger in them. Why don't we reward people and say to them that if you carry 3 or more passengers in your car, you can use a bus lane in the morning? A lot of other cities do carpooling.
I think it's, you see, and I think we need a director of transport for Dublin. You have four directors of transportation in the 4 Dublin local authorities. I read a statistic recently. In the United States, the average car is idle 90% of the time. So, this can't continue. It's completely unsustainable in terms of traffic in the city. But we need a coordinated, joined-up programme where people get a say. People aren't afraid that tomorrow they're going to be banned from driving into the city. And again, I want to reiterate, I don't.
That's not precisely what you're saying.
But it's about. But we have to. A bus carries, close to 100 people. A car carries one person, and we need to keep the city moving, and we need to guarantee people. Well, we have to educate people. Someone made a decision, Adrian, years ago, that public transport was the way forward, but they never told people. And so it's now becoming fact, and people are beginning to see that, God, the only realistic way forward, because there's no more roads to be built that can relieve the problem. So public transport is the only way forward, but we want plans. We want to know we have a reliable service, and, Dublin Bus is probably going to need half the existing fleet on top of that again, so that people can be guaranteed, if I opt to go for public transport, it will get me there, it will be reliable, And I know
and it
that
won't
it'll be
get
there
stuck
every
in
morning.
traffic, which is obviously one of the big problems that people have. John Lahart, we appreciate you taking time out of your day in Brussels to join us on 98 FM. What I hear from taxi drivers who have an issue with College Green being shut off.
Taxi drivers have an issue with everything.
But okay, here's a plan for an area at College Green to be made into a plaza. I'm looking at a drawing of it.
For people that don't know, what's a plaza? I know what a plaza is.
It's just like concrete. It's
a meeting area, sort of, isn't
whatever,
it?
Yeah.
Like fountains and all that sort of jazz.
And it looks great. I'm looking at an artist's drawing of it. It looks great. I can see no reason why we don't do this. But what are taxi drivers whinging about? Look, the fact of the matter is that the bottleneck in College Green is a joke. It really is. It was always going to happen as soon as the Luas started, and it needs to be. We need to get rid of all cars. Motorists are banned from driving in that area now, and we just get over it and we just drive a different route. So I don't know what the problem is with taxis. If you are a taxi driver, I'd love to know.
Why are you moaning?
Why exactly? Yeah.
Because it is the main artery to get from north to the south of the city.
You can go over the other bridge that brings you down by Pier Street. You can go Wine Tavern Street.
By the way, I have the whole answer. I just gave the answer on the air. Carpooling. Why don't we do carpooling? Why don't we reward people who carry... Say, for instance, you and Katie live in the same neck of the woods.
Yeah.
Do you come in together?
Sometimes, yeah.
That you should be able to drive in the bus lane if you have a couple of people in the car. But then that makes sense.
Yeah.
That you reward people for giving lifts. Like, you think, on my road, I'm sure there are 2 other people who drive the exact same way every day as I used to. So why doesn't everybody just get in the same car together?
That's a good question.
Although then again, everybody doesn't finish work at the same time, do they?
A lot of people do, though.
No, they
That's
don't.
how we have the heavy traffic in the morning and the heavy traffic in the evening.
I know, but can you imagine me and 2 of my neighbours, and I finish work, I'm in a late meeting that day and I have to text John, I'm sorry you can't get a lift home with me because I have a meeting. I don't think it'd work really.
Here's a message that says, the Luas is a pain in the arse and wrecks the whole of Dublin City. The bus fares are extortionate, so they'll go up again. So no, leave the city alone and get rid of the Luas.
Well, just get rid of the Luas.
Just stop it. I don't think that's
tear up the tracks.
If anything, we should have more Luas lines, and I know it's in the plan, but I think we need to have more Luas lines.
Do you know what the plural of Lewis is, by the way?
Luai?
Wonder does anybody know? Very
Plural
interesting.
of Lewis?
Yeah.
What, is there a plural?
Yeah, but obviously there's a plural of everything. There's a plural of Adrian.
Adrians?
Adrians, yeah. Let's see if anybody knows. What's the plural of Lewis? We've been talking about transport there. Very interesting conversation about transport there. And Lewis is the most popular transport in Dublin. But what is the...
Well, it's not actually. The bus is the most popular.
But what is the plural of Lewis? If anybody knows, text us now. 0877 98 98 98. You can text or WhatsApp. 087...
James, you're a taxi driver. What's the problem with getting rid of taxis from College Green?
Well, a couple of reasons. Of course, you have Temple Bar, so, we won't be able to access Temple Bar if they stop us going there. So you're trying to explain to stag and hen parties from the UK that, I'm sorry, we can't bring you to your hotels.
Mm-hmm.
You also have the situation where you have various 5-star hotels in that area, the Westin, the Westbury, the Conrad, even as far as the Marine. We won't be able to access them. So you explain to somebody who's paid €300 or €400 a night for a 5-star hotel, I'm sorry, mate, in the middle of November, I'll have to leave you here on O'Connell Bridge and you can walk up in the rain.
I wouldn't leave anybody on O'Connell Bridge.
Sorry, specifically, what hotels are you talking about? The Westin, you can just go around by...
the Westbury.
The Westbury...
Conrad. The Westbury you won't be able to access because at the moment, the only way of accessing the Westbury, back coming all the way around by Stephen's Green, is by going on to College Green, going up by Trinity Street, up St. William Street, up that direction, up onto Clarendon Street, and then swing around then onto Harley Street where the hotel is.
Okay, but specifically College Green, you have to agree it's become a ridiculous bottleneck. I don't know how they didn't see this when they were planning the Luas anyway, because the dogs on the street could see it. But they've stopped motorists driving through there. Surely a taxi can make alternative arrangements.
The only section of the road that they've stopped people coming from is as you drive right down and as you get to where the Bank of Ireland is at Trinity College. But it is basically 100 yards of road where they have banned taxi or banned regular cars from. So if a car is coming from Delay Street, it can no longer go straight on. It has to go left or has to turn right. It can no longer go the 100 yards up onto College Green. So they haven't really done that.
Well, let me ask you then, what do you think of the idea of a plaza at College Green?
I think it's ludicrous.
Do you? I happen to think it's a great idea. I think, to
be honest with you, I think the city manager has absolutely lost the run of himself. I think the whole city council has lost the run of themselves. People have a tendency, what's going to happen now at 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning when people are spilling out onto this place looking for taxis? What's going to happen? Where are they going to go looking for taxis? We won't be able to access that. And also, what's going to happen then with the likes of our Dublin bus going to be fully diverted away from it? No.
All right, let me go to Ruben. You're on 98FM, Ruben. How are you? You're a Dublin bus driver who regularly drives through College Green?
That's correct, yes.
And what did you want to say?
Well, I understand the situation with the mess going on over there. But the problem, in my opinion, without no offense to any taxi driver, is that when we are on the lane to go towards Nassau Street, taxis go further than us and they cut off everybody to get in. And then we get jammed on the grill lock and we go nowhere. And that's what the traffic from Tara Street or...
In fact, if I'm not mistaken, the incident a couple of weeks ago where the Lewis got stuck on O'Connell Bridge and was blocking the quays, that was caused by a taxi.
That's right. I understand the guys, they have to have a living. But if they try to help us at the same time to, take your lane from before you go around, that way you block nobody and everybody can move a little faster or quicker to their destinations,
What do you think of the idea of a plaza at College Green?
I think it would be great. I know it's a beautiful area there and I agree
it would enhance the city.
Yes.
Yes. All right. Thank you very much indeed, Ruben. And
we're still trying to find out, by the way, and this is something that none of you listening have ever thought about before, but you think about it every day. What is the plural of Lewis?
Is it not just Lewis?
This was actually debated, by the way, on several websites over the last few years.
Kieran, what's the plural for Lewis?
Louisiana.
Louisiana?
Yes, I was told this. I don't know how, but yeah, the plural of Lewis.
Yeah, because Lewis, translate Lewis into English, it's speed.
Yep.
Okay, and if you translate speed into Irish, it's Louisiana.
Yeah. I didn't know that up until about 10 minutes ago, Kieran, I have to be honest with you.
Sorry, hang on. If
don't argue with the man.
If Lewis is the Irish for speed,
yeah,
you can't have a plural of speed. Speeds.
No, but it's a noun.
Yeah, exactly. It's a noun, so it's Luasanna.
Yeah, Louisiana is the answer.
Would you not just say Lewis trams and make the trams plural? There you go.
Don't argue. Kieran has a fada in his name. Have you a fada in your name, Adrian?
I do.
No.
CIA fada.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't.
You come back to him when you have a fada, Adrian.
Okay. Anyway, Lewis trams. There's your plural.
By the way, Kieran, I've always wanted to know from someone who has a fada in their name. By the way, I admire you for having a fada in your name. I'd love one myself. Are you very nitpicky about your fadas? In other words, when you write your name on a letter, or when you type your name, or when someone saves your name in their phone, are you insistent on the fada being over the A?
Yes, and if I'm talking to, if I'm ringing a government agency or whatever my business is, and they ask me how do I spell my name, they always say, do you spell that with a K or a C?
Oh,
and I say, no,
yeah.
it's C-I-A-R.
No, there is a
big fada. Now, my young fella's name is Sean, and
I've never seen a fada on your...
He always has a fada.
Not on Facebook, he doesn't.
Can you even put a fada on Facebook? I don't know.
I don't know.
But no, he's very insistent on the fada on Sean, and where a lot of people aren't. It's just S-E-A-N.
My friend Zoe, the reason I mention that, Kieran, is I have a friend called Zoe, and
she's got 2 dots.
Zoe is the most protective woman about her 2 dots. If people forget Zoe's 2 dots, we actually call her 2 Dot Zoe, by the way.
Yeah.
That's her name. If you're listening, how you 2 dots. And Zoe goes mad if people write her name or if a letter arrives for her. So she gets a bill from Vodafone for her phone, yeah? Mm-hmm. And it arrives just ZOE. She gets very upset. She rang up Vodafone and complained that they didn't put the twos. Where are the two dots? Are they on the E?
On the O.
On the O, yeah.
Here, I have another story for you. You may have heard this story about Walton's, the music store.
Yes.
Shutting down in the city centre. We were talking about the development of the city. Shutting down in the city centre for once and for all. Their store on Georgia Street is now gone.
Yeah.
Now, this particular store on Georgia Street was where they filmed lots of the scenes from the movie Once, if you remember that, where he's teaching her the piano and all that. That was in Walton's on Georgia Street, but it's now closed. And it got me to thinking about other shops in the city that are now gone. Just gone. They don't exist anymore, but they were great old shops in their day.
Oh, I have one straight off the bat.
Which is?
And I can't remember the name of it for the life of me. It was on just off Henry Street, okay, before you cross over the Halfpenny Bridge. What's the name of that street? Liffey Street?
Liffey Street,
Abbey
yeah.
Street,
Yeah,
whatever.
Liffey Street,
whatever.
yeah.
It was on 8th Street, and this was a shop, some of you will remember, that sold... It was one of these shops that sold a bit of everything.
Right.
Okay? So you could guess... The reason I know it is every Friday my dad used to bring me into the shop and we used to buy soldiers. We'd buy a bag of soldiers every week. I can't even remember if anybody knows the name of the shop, but it was a very famous shop. It sold cheap toys.
Cheap toys?
Really cheap toys.
And it was on Liffey Street?
It was on Liffey Street. So you could buy a bag of little plastic soldiers for like €2, whatever the case may be. I can't even remember what else they sold, but it was there for donkey's years, and I think it was owned by a Dublin man. It was the most Dublin shop ever. But anyway, it's gone.
It's gone.
It's gone.
If anybody knows the name of that, text or WhatsApp us 0877 98 98 98. But also, text or WhatsApp us with shops in Dublin that are now gone, but they were great old shops when they were there.
No, they obviously weren't great old shops. If they're great old shops, they'd still be here.
Walton's is a great shop, but they've just closed because of rent. Rent is too high in the city.
Where do I buy my soldiers?
I don't know.
I
if you want to go to Walton's, they're out in Blanchardstown. If you want to buy...
no, I want a bag of soldiers.
If you need a flute, you'll get it out in Walton's in Blanche.
Why would I want a flute?
Everybody needs a flute.
Yeah, but I can't play the flute.
They're on like a light. They're on like a light, Jeremy. Hang on, don't even say another word.
Oh,
Jason.
How are you doing, lads?
Jason, what was the name of that shop?
I knew it the minute he said it. It was Hector Gray's.
Hector Gray's.
Yes.
That's what was for people. I know there are people listening now who've never even heard of Hector Gray's. What was Hector Gray's?
I suppose a modern day version of it would be the likes of deals and all. You get anything in it.
Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Price type of thing.
Mr. Price type of thing, yeah.
And it was a very Dublin shop.
Yeah, another great Dublin shop, by the way, down on Moore Street was the Apollo.
Oh yeah, Apollo 1.
Apollo 1, I think it was called.
Yeah, and they well, here's the story. Here's the story for you, Jason.
Yep.
Apollo 1 also had a store on O'Connell Street. Yep.
All right, yeah.
And I worked in that. That was my very first job ever. Was Apollo 1 on O'Connell Street.
Brilliant shop.
Yeah.
Same type of shop, yeah.
What's the other street it's on, Jason? There's one on O'Connell Street.
I know, yeah, I know what they're doing.
No, I'm not doing anything. I just what's the name of the street?
It was Moore Street.
What the hell is Moore Street? What's on Moore Street?
It's just off Parnell Street in Henry.
Never heard of it. Never heard of it.
No, named after Henry Moore.
Henry Moore. Thanks, Jason.
How Dublin are you? Good luck, Jace. Thanks very much indeed.
For those of you who are just joining us and you're wondering, that shop, Moore. Oh, God, I hate people that say that. Moore. The name of the shop was Hector Gray's, and it was on. It is Liffey Street, isn't it?
Yep.
And it was a Mr. Price for back in the day. But you used to get the big thing they sold was toy soldiers. You used to be able to get toy soldiers in, and it was the best shop ever. There was another one on the north side, if anybody can remember, and I can't remember what it sold. But the whole thing about the shop was it was red.
Ah, yeah, the Red Corner shop.
What did they sell?
Oh, that's a good question, actually. I always remember the radio ads for the Red Corner shop, yeah? And I remember the Red Corner shop. It was just on Dorset Street.
Yeah.
And you used to always see it heading out to the airport.
Because it was red.
Because it was red.
It was a lammer. But what did it sell? Geez, the ads obviously weren't that good, Adrian, if you can't remember what
No, I can't.
So what was the ad? Come along to the Red Corner shop where we sell...
God, I can't remember.
Does anybody know what the Red... What was it called?
The Red Corner shop.
The Red Corner shop.
Yeah.
What did they sell in the Red Corner shop? Because we've no idea.
Now, Tracy.
Hi.
You used to meet your dad in town at Hector Gray's.
No, I used to meet him in town, like on a Saturday.
Yeah.
We used to meet him in Church Street. And then before we'd go home on the 38, at the time the 38 was in Abbey Street.
Yeah, I remember it, yeah. Well, no, it's
Yeah.
not that it's gone. It's still there. Yeah.
Abbey Street is, yeah.
And so
Yeah.
is the 38, yeah. And
48 doesn't stop there anymore, like, that's what I'm saying. It doesn't stop in Abbey Street.
But it just shows
Because
you
the boys
when we were kids, Tracy, we didn't want things like kids nowadays. As I said, I was happy with a £2 bag of soldiers back in the day. I'd go in, get them, I'd go home and I'd play with my soldier for about 2 hours that evening.
Yeah, fair play, yeah.
Couldn't get me out of my room.
Yeah.
Constantly.
Yeah, we used to go over to see our granny on a Saturday when my dad bring us over, and we'd say our granny and she'd sneak us money into our hands before we leave.
Come here, Tracy. What did the Red Corner shop sell?
I don't know, I don't remember that one.
Corners. It's that corners. Tracy, have you kids, by the way?
I have, yeah, two.
Just another story in the news today. I don't know, what age are your kids?
One is 23 and one is 8.
Mike, you have a 23-year-old.
Yeah,
You only sound like you're 23 yourself.
thanks, I'm 43.
Well, I never see the look.
Here, stop the press for 1 second before you even ask that question. The
Yeah.
Red Corner shop sold furniture. I've just found a photograph of it.
No.
And it says on the side of it, furniture, Red Corner shop.
No, I don't think that's true.
There's the photograph.
Okay. No, Trace, the reason I'm asking you, in the news today, in the Sun newspaper, it says that Lidl, do you shop in Lidl at all?
Yeah, sometimes. No,
Well-
I wouldn't be a regular.
Well, they're now selling communion dresses and suits with prices starting as little as £1.99. You can get a dress, a communion dress for 35 quid. Now, you say your little one, is it a boy or a girl, your little one?
Or the boy, yeah.
Yeah, I presume he'd be making his communion, or is he going to make his communion?
No, he's not making it this year. I kept him back this year.
No, but I mean, he
Following year.
is going to make it at some stage,
Oh,
is
yeah,
he?
yeah.
And would you buy him a Lidl communion suit for $34.99?
No.
Oh.
Why not?
No, I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't feel right buying him one. I'd have to go over to a communion shop and get one.
Yeah, see, there you go, Adrian.
Okay, I'd love to know why. Okay,
Don't judge the
the
woman.
clothes.
She doesn't want to suit
And
for
I'm not
30
just talking about Tracy. But, there is this snobbery. Okay, $35.99, $34.99 for a lovely communion dress, and I've seen photographs of the
Oh,
dresses.
by the way, they'll throw in an angle grinder with it as well for you. If you
I've seen the
want.
photographs of the communion dresses,
Yeah.
and they're top notch. And the child is only going to wear it for what, 8 hours?
Yeah.
Never going to wear it again. Why not just spend 35 quid?
Now, the suit for the young fella, Adrian, look, it looks a bit like...
There's nothing wrong with that.
It looks like something Joe Pesci would wear in Goodfellas.
Only that particular colour, but they have all different colours. I don't see what the problem
Do you
is.
want your child looking like Joe Pesci?
No,
on his
in that
communion?
photograph, it's a bright blue suit. It's a bit hideous looking.
bright blue, hideous, yeah.
But I don't see the problem in spending just 35 quid.
Okay, let's do a
Why
very...
is there a snobbery
Okay,
about
well,
this?
let's do a very quick poll, okay, for parents, okay? So if you're around, Adrian, I'm guessing that you'd be around 35 years of age if your kids are making their communion, wouldn't you?
About that, yeah.
So if you are a parent of a kid who's coming up to communion, it's a very simple question, yes or no. Would you put them in Lidl communion gear for 35 quid? Honest question.
And if not, why not? That's the question.
So text yes or no to 0877 98 98 98. Simply yes or no. Would you be happy to put your child... And as Adrian says, the photographs of the stuff, bar the blue suit. You shouldn't put your child in a blue suit.
No, but the suit
ever.
itself looks nice.
No, the suit
bar
is
the
nice.
colour.
But would you put your child in one of those suits for 35 quid? Because how much is a suit for a communion in a?
You can spend 200 or 300 or 400 quid.
That's ridiculous. Carry on, that is.
Now, we were talking about shops in Dublin that are no longer there after it was announced that Walton's, where we all went to get our tin whistles when we were younger, is now gone.
So you had a tin whistle when you were young?
Everybody in school had a tin whistle.
Oh my God, you must have been bullied
Or a
awful.
recorder. Do you not have a recorder?
No, it was a girls'
What sort of
thing.
school did you go to?
The boys' school.
Anyway,
Adrian with the recorder.
we all did.
No, we didn't.
We did. Paul.
How are you, Simon?
Paul, what shop is gone?
The Red Corner shop you were talking about.
Yeah.
It was a video shop.
No,
Video rental.
No, became that.
No, it became a golf shop, lads.
No, after the video shop, it was a golf shop.
After the video shop, it was a golf shop. Yeah, but before that again, it was a furniture shop.
Yeah, but it wasn't called the Red Corner Furniture Shop.
It was. I'm looking at a photograph of it. I don't know when it was taken.
Can't believe we're arguing
Furniture,
about this.
Red Corner shop. Yep.
Well, in my time, it was a video shop.
In
And-
your
And it was always known as a video shop.
And was it a You know yourself, Paul?
No, it wasn't a porn video shop.
Okay, because it used to be
No, I'm sure I had a little room like them all did years ago.
I have no knowledge of those little rooms in video shops.
Yeah, I'm sure. All right, yeah.
I always wondered who went into those little rooms in the video shops. Do you, Adrian?
Never wondered it.
What?
We used to spy on them and then slag them when they came out.
No, but these people that were going in to buy, did they never hear of the internet?
Well, no, back then they didn't.
Back then.
Exactly.
I suppose.
Anyway, yeah, so from what I'm reading here, the Red Corner Shop, and I'm looking at a photograph of it, was a furniture shop originally. You're saying it became a video shop and then a golf shop.
Yes.
Now, Paul, would you put your kid in a $34.99 suit from Lidl's?
I'd have no problem putting, but my wife would have another say, you know.
Yeah, that's the problem. I think it's women that are the issue here.
Yeah, it's all about keeping up with the Joneses.
Yeah, and the Joneses don't buy their suits in Lidl.
Exactly.
In fact, I saw the Joneses the other day, Adrian. They were in Boyers getting the suit for the young fella. They were.
Exactly, and then all the Chinese whispers in the church that morning.
Yeah, oh yeah. You don't want your kid to be the talked about one in the €35 suit, sure you don't.
Exactly, yeah.
Thanks, Paul.
Thanks, Paul. Good luck. No, sorry, Jeremy. I'm just going to show you this photograph, and I want you
to get over the Red Corner shop.
No. I want you to confirm by looking at this photograph that this is indeed a furniture shop.
Yeah, but that photograph's from the 50s.
It's not from the 50s. It's not.
Oh, is it not?
No, it's not. It's from the...
And is it? I believe I've been told here on text that it's a listed building, so they can't knock it down.
All the buildings on that street would be.
If anybody is driving by Dorset Street at the moment, can you text us and let us know, is the Red Corner shop still there? And most importantly...
no, it's not still there, and it's not red.
Oh, it's not red
anymore? The building isn't still red, no. Bill!
Oh, yeah.
Bill, what, a shop that used to be a great shop in Dublin gone is?
Well, three of them. HMV.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Are all the HMVs gone, yeah?
Yeah. Virgin is gone. It's a great shop at the case there.
It was, yeah, the Virgin Mega Store.
I think the one that you guys probably missed, I remember the most, would be Woolworths.
Woolworths on Henry Street.
And Thomas Street.
That's before my time, but I do remember...
But sorry, the best thing about Woolworths that I remember is upstairs they had the biggest canteen in the world. It was huge.
It's always about food with you.
It is, and that's where we used to go as kids, upstairs in Woolworths.
But true story, Bill, I bought my first contraceptives in the Virgin Megastore.
Really?
Yeah, 25 years of age, I was.
25?
No,
really?
No, I'm joking about that. No, but myself and my mates, we bunked off school one day. By the way, kids, never bunk off school.
25? You bunked off school at 25?
Would you stop?
What school were you going to?
We bunked off school one day because we had heard that this shop in Dublin was selling contraceptives, was selling condoms, and we thought we'd all be lads, and we dared each other to go.
Obviously.
We dared each other to go up to the counter and buy condoms, and I was walking up to the Virgin Megastore, and I just turned around and I got too scared.
You didn't go in and buy a packet of condoms. And that's something that a lot of people don't realise. Back in 86 or thereabouts, the Virgin Megastore was the first place in Ireland
Isn't it shocking?
to stock condoms.
Yeah, isn't that shocking? So pre-19, what year did you say?
1985.
Something like that, yeah.
So what did you wear before that?
You had to go up the north to buy them. It was pathetic, it really was. Anyway.
So that's not very practical. Hang on, you're getting frisky with your wife.
Yeah, I just have to hop on the train to Belfast. I'll be back in an hour. Back in 5 hours.
Keep the kettle on there, love. I'll be back in 5 hours.
Now, we were talking about communion dresses in Lidl for €35.
Yes.
Michelle.
Yes.
Why would you not buy your son's communion outfit in Lidl?
I don't, to be honest, I don't think, there's no reason in my head to say that I wouldn't do it. I just think, I have two daughters as well, now they're 5 and nearly 3, and I just think when it kind of comes to the girls' communion, dare I say it's slightly more special because you get to get the dress and whatever else for the girl, but my son is making his this year. I kind of feel that I wouldn't spend €35 on the girls, and I certainly wouldn't want to do that to him either.
Okay,
now, I said 200...
I don't know if you've seen photographs of and I saw them last year, the communion dresses in Lidl, okay? And I was really surprised.
Why were you looking at communion dresses?
Because I was walking up the aisle looking for bargains, and then I saw communion dresses.
Bizarre.
But I was really surprised by the quality of them. They were top-notch. And I know if you put your daughter in one, nobody at the communion day would have any idea you bought it in Lidl.
No, I don't think they would.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I suppose I wouldn't actually know unless I've seen it. Yeah. I actually haven't seen them, so I actually can't say if they're good.
Like I said, I did last year, and I was very impressed.
Well, the question is, and I'd put to you, Adrian, would you got married to your wife there a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah.
Would she have got married in a dress from TK Maxx?
I don't know where she bought her dress. For all I know, she did.
She didn't get it in TK Maxx. But would she have worn a wedding dress from TK Maxx?
I wouldn't be surprised if she would, yeah. That's the God's honest truth.
Such a lie.
That's the God's honest truth. And she's now decided to donate her wedding dress to a charity, okay? And that means somebody somewhere will buy her wedding dress as at a cheap price.
Would you buy a second-hand wedding dress, Michelle?
I'm actually trying to sell mine.
Oh, there you go. So there is a market for second-hand wedding dresses.
So are you divorced?
Yeah.
Are you divorced?
No, I'm not. And actually, I like the idea of what you just said there. To be honest, I've heard a few little ideas where you can donate the wedding dress, or there's other places where people can make communion dresses out of them. No, I wouldn't do it on my own.
Yeah.
But I do like the idea.
Yeah, my
Mine's
wife is
sitting in a wardrobe and it's rotting.
she only told me this the other day.
Can I just say to you, lads, by the way, the only people that do that are people for likes and shares on Facebook.
No.
No.
Oh,
look how great
Shut up, Jeremy. The fact is she's donating it to a charity that can make money out of her wedding dress, which I thought was brilliant. She only told me this last week, and I'm very impressed with her for doing it, because in reality, if she was to sell the thing, she'd get half the price she's paid for it.
But you don't even know where she bought it.
I don't know where she bought it, no. But she's donating it to charity. Anyway, no is the answer, Michelle. But I would say to you, go and have a look at the dresses, because the standard of them is very good.
Do you work for Lidl, by the way?
No, but I was honestly
I agree
was
with
really
you.
taken aback by the quality of them. For the sake of 8 hours. That's all they're wearing them from.
Not even that, because they change out of it into a tracksuit then, don't they?
This is 98FM's Dublin Talk.